All right, welcome to 1FG Archives here on YouTube. This is Just Chatting Volume 15. I'm going to be talking about my experience this year at California Extreme. Let's get started. Okay, first of all, those of you who probably don't know, I do speak about this event many times throughout the year. It is actually one of my favorite weekends of the year. It's a random weekend in July generally. Usually it's about usually they have it around the second or third weekend of July. Last year was actually in August because of I think they had some difficulties scheduling the actual same place that they do every year, which is the Santa Clara Convention Center. But this year they got it at the regular time. And just this past weekend, myself, my BFF also went, as well as my good buddy Willie Will at over at Greenslade Gaming joined us both. We all went together, and it's actually been a really good time this year. Even though it seemed to me like this year was a little bit smaller than it has been in the past, I will say that it hasn't been. I remember last year there was a lot of pinball games versus actual arcade cabinets, but this year was actually pretty well balanced in terms of the amount of pinball machines as well as arcade games. They have anything from, you know, Burger Time to Street Fighter to Hyper Fighting, all the way to, like The Simpsons, the TMNT arcade game, Mortal Kombat 2. They had Ultimate MK3 there. And the great thing that I want to stress about this is that this is all set to free play. You pay a fee to get in, which I think it was this year it was $50 for Saturday and it was 40 for Sunday. Or if you pre-registered, you spent a little bit less, and you get to get in an hour early before everybody else before it's open to the general public, and they only have so many slots available for pre-registration. I always generally wait for the email to come through every year to say, hey, pre-registration is open. Boom, I'm getting pre-registered right on the spot. I'm not hesitant about that because I love this event so much. I've been going into it for over 10 years, with the exception of obviously when COVID was around. They had to cancel it for a couple years until things kind of got better. But now it's back. It's been back for a couple years now, and it's just been a fun experience every single time. I I can't stress that enough. If you're ever gonna be in California, in the San Francisco Bay Area, during July, just check this event out. I mean, it's that not only do they have two rooms generally full of arcade cabinets and pinball machines, and they also have like party games too, like Dance Dance Revolution. There was a brand new one that they brought this year. It was called Soda Slam, and basically the premise of it is if you ever played the game Tapper, it's kind of along the same boat, but it's a ticket game essentially. What you do is you have four little joysticks, and you have to fill up like there was a customer who wants a specific drink, and then you have to fill up their cup to the max, and you get points based on how close you get it to that perfection, like right at the top, you know or you do get a perfect if it's right at the top. But sometimes like the an ice cube will drop down in the middle of the thing as you're trying to fill it, so it throws off your balance, and the thing only lasts for like about a minute or something. I think it was like a minute per play, and that thing always had people going at it. It was just very addicting. It was very fun. It was very quick. Um, but and again, that it was just something original, and it was huge. I mean, it wasn't just like this little thing that it was a display. I mean, like it literally was huge. I mean, because you had to have the four joysticks, and it was a head-to-head competition. There was only two-player, and it was just addicting as heck. The other thing that really kind of caught my attention this year was that there was a pinball, and I know I've seen this before in the past. It was a pinball slash, or not pinball, my pardons, like a pool table slash uh, bowling type of game, and it was Japanese. And it's one of the reasons, again, this is one of the reasons why I love coming to this event, is because you get to see games that weren't necessarily released anywhere else except like Japan, or it's like a prototype that was also never released. Because I will, just to give you a couple examples, this one here that was there this year was, a, as I said, a pool table, but it was bowling. So basically, you would hit the cue ball at the actual like little stack of balls. It was like about 10 of them or so. So you're just trying to knock them outside, knock them off the actual little platform, and that's how you get a strike. And then if you don't do it, it gives you another chance to try to knock the rest of them into, and that includes your actual cue ball too. So just to think about that. And then it would score it like a bowling game. You know, you get 2 tries to knock them all off the little ramp there, and yeah, you get that's a, it was very simple, but it was so interesting to be able to do something like that. And I did take a video of my buddy Willie Will actually trying it out, and it I tried it out myself. And I suck at pool, but you get the old cue stick and everything, and you have to hit the ball with. And yeah, I said it was a lot of fun. Even though I suck at it, you know, I still had a lot of fun experience with the experience and everything. So definitely was worth for that. And then like in previous years, there was literally, this was hilarious. It was a Japanese game, arcade game, and the object of the game was you pressed down really hard on a on like a, trying to think of how to describe it. It's like, well, basically it's just like a platform type of thing, and you press down on it really hard. Now the object of the thing is that you're an irate customer at a restaurant that's not getting what you want. It's you're waiting too long for your food, whatever it is, and you're pressing it down as hard as you can to see how far you can actually flip the table, and basically throw things around, and it throws things all over the room. People get injured, you know, things part, the other tables get broken, seats get broken. You're just trying to do as basically as much damage as possible. It was crazy, and there was always a line. I got to play it once. It was hysterical. And I wish they would bring that one back too, but that is yet to be seen. But the one big one that they had actually this year, they had Marble Madness 2, which was a prototype but was never released. And the one thing I want to touch on that is because, it was basically they're like the original Marble Madness, but it had a little bit more character to it because your little marble had a face on it and everything. So every time it would fall or something, and like it would make like a face, or like it'd start being like dizzy or something. Like, like in the original Marble Madness, where if you had the thing would kind of spin around, but it wouldn't crack or anything. And everything. Well, he would see the little like the stars go above the little marble's head. I mean, it was cute. It kind of put like a little bit of a cartoony effect to it, and I thought that was really kind of cool. Um, I only played it a couple of times because I suck at Marble Madness anyway, but I wanted to at least give it a shot, just to see what it was like. And but the one that was about 2 years ago was Primal Rage 2. That one would have been excellent for them to release into the wild, as an actual arcade game. I thought that was a really well put together game for a fighting game compared to the original Primal Rage. You had a meter at the bottom. So basically, the premise of that one was you chose your dinosaur or your human form. So you had a dinosaur and a human form, and you can choose which one you want to start with. You had all the to unlock. You had to go through all like the character with the human form, and then to unlock the dinosaur. And then you can, because when you do with your special meter, when that's full and you activate it, it turns you into the other form, and it does a quick little combo, and then you change back into your original form. And just little things like that. But honestly, I don't understand why they didn't put that game into production, because it would have been a smash. Honestly, I actually have the bugged out version of it on my PC that I've played a little bit, and it's so buggy. I can do like 2 battles and it'll lock up on me. I can do 5 battles and it'll lock up on me. It's very inconsistent. It's, as I said, it's buggy. But when I was playing it in the arcade, the only time it actually bugged out on me was when I actually beat the game, with Diablo, and I thought that was kind of interesting. But overall, what can I say? I think it's really cool that you get to be exposed to like stuff like this, like these prototypes in there. And the one thing about and then moving on to the next, which kind of transitions me over into the next part, every single year they always introduce one, maybe two brand new pinball machines. This year the big one was Harry Potter, and I honestly, even getting in the pre-register, there were like on Sunday there was literally a guy that ran like, as soon as they let us into the event, the main ballroom. There was people running towards that thing to get their first hands on it, just to play it right away. That just kind of tells you how like hooked people are on these old arcade games, and pinball. I've always been a fan. I mean, those of you who've known me have known that I've always loved pinball and arcade machines. This was just like a home to me. I felt right at home. I would kind of remember I was even talking to Willie Will after this event on Monday, and he says, or on Tuesday morning, and he said to me, "Man, I was so bored yesterday." I will admit I was too. I'm actually off this week from work just because I usually always take the first few days of the week after this event, because my legs are always killing me, my back is always killing me after this event, especially as now as I'm getting older. I'm taking so I decided to take the time off like I normally do, but I'm just like, man, I could have gone for another day. It just wasn't the same. It's just not the same once you're done with the event. It's like you just want to go back in there and play some more games. It's so much fun. So just to give you how it is. So if you're pre-registered, or if even if you're not, you go up to the tables. If you're pre-registered, you walk up to the table. They give you you sign a waiver form, type of thing, about you sign whatever the waiver form has, and then you get your badge with your land. They give you, so if you're pre-registered, they'll give you a lanyard, and then they'll give you a wristband that you wear around your wrist that you have to have on at all times. There's one for Saturday, there's one for Sunday, and there's one for the whole weekend. So mine obviously had the little weekend. But then I basically so then they give you the lanyard. So the lanyard with the badge, or with the wristband, allows you to get into an hour early before the general public. So if you're going to be doing that, again, if you are coming out ever during July and going to be in the San Francisco Bay Area and you love arcades, you love pinball, and this is so then you get in an hour early, and then you can basically go wherever you want and be able to plug in it. I said all the games are set to free play. So you just walk up to it and just start playing it. It doesn't matter. You just press that start button and you're going. Um, and then the other thing is, there's not just the arcade. So there's two rooms. There's one smaller room, and there's the main ballroom that have all the arcades and pinball machines. And what they do is they loop them around. They give you paths that you can walk, like a maze, kind of like a maze, little mini maze and stuff. But they're just cabinets are just lined up and everything, and just like the cabinets, arcade and pinball cabinets are just lined up, right next to each other, so that you can actually just plug in or just walk up and play. Now, do all of them work every single time? No. There is, if you watch my original videos that I posted on Facebook, you'll see that there were some of them that were dark. The two machines were turned off. It happens all weekend long. Especially if you get the ones like Space Ace and Dragon's Lair. Those things mess up all the time. And there's nothing that you can do about it. You let the team know up in the front, say, hey, this machine's not working, and generally they'll send someone over to try to fix it right away, so that more people can play it. But the other thing about this though too is that there's also vendors that are actually like selling retro games, gaming consoles. Even there was one this year that had like the old school TVs and stuff that were there, and one in particular had a really interesting TV. It was literally an NES built into a TV. It had the little slots for the controllers. It had a spot for you to put the game in. I mean, it was just really, really cool. He was telling us that I think they would only let him in production for like a year and a half or something. There weren't that many of them made. He wasn't selling it. It was just there for more of a show off, type of thing. They had a Virtual Boy on hand there, an NES that you can, and that's the other thing, which leads me into the other part. So not only do you have the main arcade cabinets and pinball, the main ballroom, and then there's that small room that has more content on the other room. There's also the upstairs area. So if you walk across where like the restaurant areas of the hotel, and there's an escalator that takes you upstairs. There's a pinball tournament. They also have consoles set up there for people to just sit down and want to play it, and they have random games playing on them. Like this year, I know they had they had a Dreamcast set up that had Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2 going. Well, I think the first day had the first Marvel vs. Capcom, and the second one on Sunday it had Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's just I was playing Bonk 3 on the TurboGrafx 16. I mean, there's just so many, all the consoles. And actually, the funny thing is another thing is that they had ZPF, the new shoot 'em up, was actually there too. So there's all kinds of just little things, and it's with vendors, is selling stuff. You can find anything from plushies to some of them were selling Pokemon cards, Magic cards, packs, gaming packs, collections, stuff like that. Not so much consoles this year, but for the most part, it's just just all kinds of like nostalgia factor and just what you can find just in these. And I didn't really buy much myself. I know my buddy Willie Will did, but for me, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money this year, and but it's okay. I did end up getting one major thing, which was a brand new backpack, which is something I've been wanting for a little bit. And one of the sellers had this big old giant, well, I'd say it's a little bigger than normal size backpack, that it was the cartridge of the original Legend of Zelda. And I just couldn't turn that down. And he even gave me, because I was paying cash, an extra $10 off the actual price. So shout out to him for doing that, because he didn't have to. But that's part of the reason why you go to these shows too, is because sometimes you'll find things there that you're not going to find anywhere else. And these vendors that have them, and they'll give you sometimes decent pricing on stuff that you just never think about. Hey, wait, I found this. Well, you can actually talk to them and say, hey, well, what happens? What would you sell it to me? Like, let's say something's like $50, and then you say, hey, would you sell this to me for 45 or 40? If I pay cash, or how? Let's talk, type of thing. And most of the time they will. I mean, that's why they go to these shows, is just to make sure that they got to break even. But it's just the fact that, hey, that's why they're there. They're here to make the sale. They're here to help sell some of their stuff. And a lot of that stuff is pretty cool. They can have anything from like pins and like little magnets to like actual little mini arcade console games. There was actually, I think it was the same seller I got the backpack from, had like a stool for like the 1-Up arcade machines or something. It was like a Pac-Man one or something. I mean, there's just, you never know what you're gonna find. As I said, plenty of plushies, t-shirts, all kinds of stuff. You never know. The sky's the limit at this event, what you're gonna find. I did see a couple PlayStation 1 games I was thinking of getting. One was Vagrant Story, and I saw that one vendor had a copy of Einhander. I already own a copy of Einhander, but I thought it was kind of cool to actually see a complete in-box one, or complete with disc and instruction manual and case all in one. You don't see that very often. Just little things like that. Just trying to figure out, or trying to go to like different areas of the actual. But the one major thing that they also do, and I did post a video of this on the Facebook page too, was they also have a rock band set up there. So you get many people that come up there with their friends and everything, and they're just rocking on. Or they just have special music guests or something like that. Like this one, they had the Megas were there this year, and they were which is the music video that I posted on the page. So just, it's such an incredible experience that you can just walk in there and play whatever you want. If there's a few people in front of you, just get in line. You'll eventually get a turn. And sometimes people will be like, hey, I'm just there by myself. Do you want to join me? Let's play a game together, type of thing. And it's just such an amazing experience because it just brings you back to being like, for me, as almost pretty much 44 now. I just think it just brings you back to being a kid again, and being able to, be able to experience all that, if and just the nostalgia factor, making new friends, seeing old people. I mean, I've seen people that I know over the years of how many people I run into, or I say, hey, you were here last year, type of thing. I remember your face, that kind of thing. It's just such an amazing time. Um, and we're not. I mean, I see people from kids all the way to like people that are probably like 60 years old. Heck, I even see people with walkers that are still trying to get in, that are coming into this event and coming in to play these games again, just because it brings them happiness and joy, just from being able to see these games again, and all of their glory as they were as a kid, or as they were growing up. And it's just such a fantastic experience. If you want to see an actual recap of this of the event, my buddy Willie Will did do a really good recap video. I will be posting that in the comment section for you to check out as well, to kind of give you a more in-depth of like some of the stuff that actually happens there. Um, and then, and last two things that I'm going to mention is that they do have pinball tournaments there as well. As you go up at the top of the escalator and you look to the left, that's where they have their pinball tournaments. And then down below, right below at the bottom of the escalator in the back room, they have guest speakers, like how to play pinball, or this is how they had indie games. I think it was one of the things they specialized in this year a little bit. So have a little knowledge of like bringing stuff back to life, which is what I really like so much, because of things like ZPF, Frontier Force, two games that have just been released this year on old consoles, the Genesis and the Sega Master System. I just really just I can't get over the fact that people are still showing love for these consoles here so many years later, and what they can actually do with the hardware, and they just make things just look so incredible. Another one that I'm trying to actually look for right now is Baby Pac-Man on the Atari 7800. It's just, you go through all of this and you look back on it and you think, you know, I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have made some of this. I wish I could have done. You know what? Sometimes it's just the fact that you can just sit down or stand next to one of these arcade cabinets, just pop in a quarter, or just if it's on free play, just press that start button and just have those few minutes of joy. The only thing that I did not like about this event this year was when it ended. I did have a little sour moment. I was playing my game of Cubert, and I actually did beat my personal best score, and I still had a couple lives left. And it was 9 o'clock, which is when when the show was over on Sunday, and the guy just shut off the power to the game, and I was still going. No warning, didn't tell me anything. He just shut off the power, and it was like, and I literally was like, "What the hell?" And he's just started apologizing. Oh, they told me to turn off the power at 9 and blah blah blah. I'm like, I could have easily have just jumped off the stage, a couple times, and got my name, showed off my high score, which is my own personal best. It was over a million. I think it was like almost 1.2 million points. So I had already beaten my previous, but now I have no way of saying it. I just lost like 2.5 hours worth of gameplay. That was a little devastating for me. Um, I think that he should have given me, say, hey, I got to turn the power off of these games, whatever. I didn't know that. I'm just there for the event, type of thing. I understand the show was over at 9, but he should have given me a warning saying, hey, I have to shut the power off at 9. Whatever your progress is, you need to stop, or I'm going to be stopping around 9. He should have just told me that rather than just completely cut me off. I'm over it, because the simple fact is now it makes me want to stream Qbert and be able to do that personal best score live, which I know is going to be probably about a 2.5, 3 hour stream, but at least I can have proof that I've actually done it. versus having to rely on an arcade machine, to do it. Yeah, I have it on my RetroPie and all, but still, it's just that thought is always going to be in the back of my head now, saying that, hey, I've already done this. Now I have to go back through it again. But then again, every year I'm going to go back and I'm going to be playing Qbert at California Extreme. But at least I know now that when I do go back, I'm probably going to do this run for my personal best probably a lot sooner than waiting to the last minute, because I literally started that game around 6. It had to be around 6:30 in the evening our time, and then he cut me off right at 9 o'clock. That power went off on the machine, and I was just like, "What?" So it left a little sour taste in my mouth, but at the same time, it's like because Will and I walked around the actual place too, and there were still people playing on the pinball machines, on the other stuff too. I mean, most of them were starting to shut down, but had already been shut down. But there were still people going at 9 o'clock. So I just feel like it was kind of messed up, to have to go through that. But I'm over it. I can if I've done it now 2 times. I can definitely do it again. But I think for me personally, I would just rather do it live versus having to go back and that way I can have a recording of it showing that, hey, I actually did do this, type of thing. Nowhere near the world record. The world record is like 80 something million. I'm just happy. Last year I was able to break the first million points I've ever done in my life. The previous was like 800,000 was the most points I've ever gotten in Qbert. So now I've broken a million. Now I can consistently say I can get there on a regular basis. I'm happy with that. I'm comfortable to say that, hey, okay, you know what? It's okay. I can go back and do it again. But overall, I said it's just the nostalgia factor of going to this event and having a good time. But one thing I do recommend: don't go alone. Find somebody to go with. And it's just going to make it that much better of an experience rather than just walking up to a machine. I mean, don't spend the entire time together though. Separate. Go play games you want to go play. Go let them play. Have them go play games they want to go play. There was times when we did that with my BFF. She really likes Tapper, the game Tapper. So Soda Slam was probably one of her. She really loved that one too. So it's just you gotta. And the other things too. They have those recharged games like Asteroids. What's the other one? Berserk. All those. So they had a few of those games. Missile Command. They had a few of those games actually in arcade cabinets over at the event that were right next to Soda Slam and stuff. So it was actually pretty quite interesting. That I thought those were cool, especially the Asteroids one. It kind of makes me want to get my hands on a copy of it, although I just found out that it was only printed out by limited run. So I don't know if I'm actually gonna get my hands on it, but we'll see. But there's this other things too, it's just be yourself, enjoy yourself. This is my childhood. This is my MO. I love these arcade machines. I love going back to this every year. It's my favorite weekend of the year. As I said, it's always in some weekend in July. Um, just check it out. If you want to see pictures of it, they have testimonials in it. Again, I'm going to be posting the my buddy Will's recap video of it, of the event, just to kind of let you get a feel for what it is to go to this, where you're walking around, seeing what different machines. Now, one thing also to note is that don't expect every single like arcade machine to be there. There were some things that they listed that I saw that were not there this time. They list them, they saying, yeah, these are going to be here. Well, they're on the list, but they never showed up. Actually, my favorite pinball machine, Tales from Arabian Nights, wasn't even listed on that. Like I was gonna be devastated that wasn't gonna be able to play a round or two of that game because it's my absolute favorite pinball machine. They did have one machine there, so I felt a little relieved when I saw it, and I said, okay, well, I've got to at least play one round of this, and I did fairly well. I got about close to 10 million points. I think I can't remember how many points I got exactly, um, but I had an absolute blast playing it. It's just it's as I said, it's my favorite one. And the other thing is, I also posted a couple pictures of this too. Was some of the rare games that you don't see anywhere else. Kingpin pinball machine, the Big Bang. Um, yeah, both are the only two Capcom pinball machines ever made. Or I'm sorry, let me reword that. Big Bang and Kingpin are the only two pinball machines that Capcom ever put out. They kind of tested the waters with the pinball machines and then they dropped out entirely. Kingpin is actually one of the rarest pinball machines in the world. There's only like 9 or 10 of them made. Two of those machines were at California Extreme, and Big Bang was sitting right next to it. Really, really fun pinball games. I strongly recommend, checking them out too. There's a ton of, I said, I can go on about this for days, honestly. Punch Out, the original, um, Space Invaders, as I said, TMNT, um, Simpsons, Panic Park, DJ, Dance Dance Revolution. There's so many different games here that if there's a genre that you like, it's there. You'll find something to play. And even if that's the only thing that you want to play, whatever, hey, you can always go back to it every single time and enjoy it. It's just the fact that you're there. But definitely take some ibuprofen because your legs are gonna be dead by the time, if especially so. Just so you know, the events, the pre-registrations get in at 10 o'clock. I didn't get home on Saturday until 1 a.m. Sunday, got in at 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. Didn't get home until about 9:30 at night. 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, I'm dead tired after all this and whole events, but I would still could have done another day and I would have been fine. But it's just, you're going to be tired after this event. So I would strongly recommend, taking an extra day off, and make the most of it. Just, I'm not saying you have to be there the whole time the event's open. Just, it's definitely worth, and if you are going to go though, I would say go Sunday. If you're just taking one day, do Sunday because there's usually less people there. But it's also Saturday, and Saturday is just extremely packed. There's a lot of people in there. And I noticed that a little bit this year as well. There were a little less people there on Saturday or Sunday, but it was about this. Last year, I can remember it was the same both days. It was just packed both days. And this day, Saturday was definitely packed, but Sunday was a little less. But it's up to you. I mean, how I always go for the entire weekend. It's what as I said, this is my MO. This is what I love doing. So, oh man, as I said, I just like Altered Beast, Golden. I'm just having these things going through my head right now. One of this, I'm actually re-walking through the actual paths of where the arcade cabinets are and stuff, and it's just so many memories I have for this year. And as I said, if you are going to go, definitely go with a friend. Strongly recommend that. It's going to make that experience much better, especially when you play pinball games and you're able to hit player 2 versus just playing by yourself. It makes a huge difference playing 2-player games together, multiplayer games, whatever. Even if it's a fighting game where you both suck at it and you're sitting there button mashing, it just makes it that much better. Because you're both on the same level, you're both having fun, and just go for it. And they do actually have Street Fighter 2 hyper fighting tournaments there too. They had one this year on Saturday. I didn't do it because we actually were at lunch, I think, when they were doing it, and when they're doing the sign-ups and all that. But it's just so much fun. I can't stress that enough. Words can only describe so much until you actually see what it is you're going through. I said I posted a couple videos of it, some random pictures of it. I said some of the rare stuff. I said Kingpin, Big Bang. The other one was Baby Pac-Man. I said you get to see a little bit of that one too. Will put that in his recap video. I mean, it's just so much fun. Definitely do check it out in July of next year, which is, I said, generally when they do have it. when they always will sign. I would sign up for their mailing list so that way you're notified right away when pre-registration starts. You know, just have a good time. You'll have a blast, honestly. Every year, even the last year, it's like, or like this year, it seemed like there was less like machines out there. Still made the most of it, and we still had an absolute blast. I don't know how many different games of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 I played. You can ask Will that. I mean, I played probably about 5 or 6 games of that. I still could play it again and it would never get old. You know, it's just having fun. You know, playing what you love and just finding new stuff to play too that you've never played before. I mean, hell, there were some games that we were there that we started playing like, yeah, okay, we're done. It's like we both died or something like that. We didn't know. We were just like, okay, we're not continuing. You know, this game is trash. You know, type of thing. Or like, okay, I got my experience in for the game. I'm done with it. You know, type of thing, and just move on to another game. You know, that happens. That can happen a lot too. It's like, man, and they put this out for the arcade? Really, really? But that's half the fun, you know. That's why you can just go from one cabinet to the next, and you basically cabinet hop from one to the next, and just find out what some of these games really are, you know, type of thing, and how much either you're really bad at, or maybe the game itself was bad. You don't know until you actually try it, right? Oh man, but yeah, just make sure you do check out the event if you can, if you ever can in your life. If you're ever in San Francisco Bay Area, please do check them out. You won't be disappointed by any means. But I just wanted to come together with just this experience, let you kind of talk about it a little bit, give you a little bit of familiarity of it, of California Extreme. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Please do make sure you hit that like button. You can also follow me at twitch.tv/OneForsakenGaming, Facebook.com/OneForsakenGaming, on Instagram, and of course, right here at 1FG Archives on YouTube. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of talk about California Extreme and my experience. Next time, we're going to be talking about some speedrun. In Volume 16, we're going to be talking about speedrunning and going for world records on video games. So until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves.